Welcome back, people, to Football's 12th Man podcast. I'm your host, as ever, Dan Potts, and we're back for an Arsenal all-time series. This one I'm looking forward to, actually. If you haven't done so already, please go and check out the others. Literally, I've had one every night this week, so we're literally talking about the best 11, the worst 11, the most underrated 11, and today we're going to be talking with you about the all-time English 11. Now, some of these are going to be obvious. Some of these I think are debatable, and I'm really interested to hear your thoughts as ever. So smash your comments into the comment section. Let me know what you would go with. Let me know where you think I've got it wrong and where you think I could improve it. This is a hard one for me because there's a lot of players, when you think about it, that have played for England that I've missed out, and some that haven't played for England that were English that perhaps didn't get caps that deserve to get a place, or that perhaps have got a place in this squad. So be interested to hear your thoughts on that one. Let's get cracking. The obvious one, listen, some of these are obvious. I've already spoken about them, if I'm honest with you. Of course, we've got to go with David Seaman. The best save I've seen in a long, long time, as I mentioned the other night. But for me, for England, wow, he was sensational. In 2002, he was unbelievable. And then obviously the Ronaldinho comment got to him. Everyone went talking about, oh, how this is terrible. This is terrible. And then he got to an age where he was about 39 in 2006. And I thought he was absolutely sensational for us, for England there as well. I look at things differently, I suppose, because I'm an Arsenal fan. But I have to say, other than Peter Schmeichel and maybe Petr Cech due to his clean sheets, I think we're talking about one of the Premier League greats here. And certainly, in my opinion, if you was to pick a 1 to 11 for my era of football in England, David Seaman walks in ahead of the likes of Joe Hart, Jordan Pickford, etc. So for me, yeah, David Seaman deserves a hell of a lot of credit. At right back, I've gone for our good friend Lee Dixon. I think Lee Dixon deserves to be in here. I'm a bit surprised, really, that he didn't make it more difficult for Gary Neville over the last few years of his career and the first few of Gary Neville's career, because I actually thought there was quite a lot of similarities between the pair of them. I understand that Gary Neville was a part of a treble winning side, but Lee Dixon was winning trophies as well and was actually more experienced than Gary Neville. So I was surprised not to see him playing as much, and certainly not ahead of Gary Neville for England. So for me, unbelievable right back, really consistent enough. We've spoken enough about him already on other streams as to why he walks in there. Just look at what he's holding there. Do you know what I mean? That to me says it all. Absolutely superb in that title winning season, that double winning season. And of course, absolutely vital in 89, 91. And of course, all the domestic cups we won in 93, 94, Cup Winners' Cup. And then under the Arsene Wenger years, I think, Arsene Wenger had said, what a player. What a player. I was absolutely shocked to see how good the back five was when I walked into the club, he said, and that's a lot of George Graham has to take a lot of credit for that. It's a lot to do with George Graham, that great signing from Stoke. And for me, a definite one that walks into this side. At left back, probably the best left back that England have ever had, in my opinion. A lot of people say it's Kenny Sansom. For me, Ashley Cole does everything. He goes forward, he defends, he clears off the line, he tackles, he sets up goals, he can score goals. I think this goal was against Man City. No, it wasn't. It's the FA Cup final shirt, I can see. So it must be the penalty he scored against Manchester United. He did score one in that shirt against Man City that season as well. But I was a massive fan of him, and I was gutted when he went. And I really felt that when Vieira was going to leave, that he would be the next Arsenal captain to take us forward. I really did believe that. And unfortunately, it wasn't to be. But fantastic for Ashley Cole at Arsenal. Shame about what happened when he went to Chelsea. But we won't go into that. Let's look at who I've picked at the back four. I'm going through these quickly because we've already mentioned these on other streams. Of course, Mr. Arsenal has to be there, doesn't he? I could have picked Keown. I could have picked Bold. But I've gone with Tony Adams because I do think that he was by far the best. And alongside him, I've gone with Sol Campbell. Now, I think these two together actually could have played a little bit longer. I know Kolo Toure formed a great partnership with Sol Campbell, but actually in the first season, it was Sol Campbell and Adams and obviously Keown that were playing a lot together. And I think they all complemented each other. I actually think you've got two perfect players here in Tony Adams and Sol Campbell, because Tony Adams could play. People forget Tony Adams was a lot more of a ball-playing defender than people gave him credit for. And Sol Campbell was just that absolute rock. So for me, I think they would have complemented each other a lot, but they never got the chance to play together for more than a couple of seasons at tops. And for me, I think that was a shame. But it worked out well. Colo came in and was absolutely superb. So fair play. I could have picked Nigel Winterburn in this as well as Keown and Bold, but I've gone with Campbell, Adams, and Ashley Cole. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Very interesting, in fact. What do I do? Do I go with 2 in midfield? Do I go with 3 in midfield? Do I try and put like a 4-5-1? Do I have too many centre forwards that are English to get in here? The answer is yes to all of that. I could have done any of those things. I've left out some players here, for sure, but I don't actually feel like I've missed out any absolute wild ones. I really don't. But maybe you can tell me. I've gone with a midfield 3, and my midfield 3 to start off with is Ray Parlour. I think Ray Parlour deserves to be in there because he has been Mr. Consistent, longevity, won everything at Arsenal, was a part of the Arsenal team in some of the better years, in my opinion. And for me, I can see why he's in this side and see why he's in people's 1 to 11s. Because I know people that put him in his 1 to 11. I know people that have put him into a 1 to 11 ahead of Theo Walcott, ahead of Alexis Sanchez, ahead of Freddie Ljungberg. I can see why in some games. They debate it well. He was a very good player. And when you're talking about English talent, he's one that comes to mind. Come through the youth system, was fantastic for Arsenal. And when Arsene Wenger and Bergkamp come into his life, I think that made him an even better player for me. So Ray Parlour, I'm going to put him in one of the defensive options in my midfield 3. On the left-hand side of that midfield was an interesting one. I weren't too sure who to go with. But I've gone with a player that I actually thought about putting in my underrated 11 because I obviously, honestly thought he had one of the best right foots in football. Paul Merson. I love everything about Paul Merson. I love Merce. Had the pleasure to meet him a couple of times. Absolute gentleman. One of the nicest blokes you'll meet, not just in football, just in general. And I think what I love about Merce is not the fact he's got time for you to talk about football, but he absolutely loves football. You can tell he absolutely loves it. And had his own problems for sure off the pitch, but when he was on it, wow, what an unbelievable talent. And I think could have stayed and done more at Arsenal, if I'm honest. You know, it's one of the reasons that I was a bit frustrated when Wenger first came because I think he was the first player he got rid of. And I remember Paul Merson would have shone because he went on to Villa, to Portsmouth, and to all the other clubs he went to, Middlesbrough being one of their best players. And I think he could have done a lot more for England as well at the time. Big fan of Paul Merson. I think he had an unbelievable amount of talent. And playing as a number 10, playing on the left, playing on the right, Merce could do it all. You know, you could play him in midfield, you could drop him deep, you could play him up top. He was a fantastic player. And you need players like that in your side. And I think that when you look at the Harry's Heroes and the stuff that he's done when he's come back into football or played Masters football, he's still got it. You know, he's still got that touch. He's overweight, he's unfit. I get it. Yeah, we all are when we get to a certain age. But my God, what an unbelievable talent. And you can just see he's just got a natural gift. Big fan of Paul Merson and one that I look at and think, yeah, I can see why you're such a favourite in and around football because what a guy. That leaves my third midfielder. This one was tough, but I've picked him because I have to. I cannot leave him out. It's very harsh on Jack Wilshere. Very harsh because I was a big fan. Injuries let him down. A career that I thought was going to be exceptional turned to one that was just an okay one because of his injuries. And it's a shame. But I cannot leave out this guy. Rest in peace, Rocky Rocastle. What a talent. Had the pleasure of meeting his son, Ryan, absolute gentleman of a man. And everybody I speak to about this guy just says, what a human being. And what a talent. I mean, natural talent. Literally, he came out of London and you'd think he was coming out of Brazil. You know, the skills that he had was just phenomenal. And some would say underrated, actually. Some would say that, you know, for England, he could have done a lot more. But at the time, when you look at who was through Peter Beardsley, John Barnes, it's going to be hard to make a long-standing career in the England setup for that side. But for me, Rocky Rocastle could play everywhere. I've put him on the right of our midfield 3 because I think he can play there. And I remember being probably 4 or 5, thinking he's a very good player. And then he left. And it was a shame that he left. You know, it was a massive shame that he left. I think Ian Wright was devastated signing for Arsenal and knowing him so well and then realising that he was actually one that was going to leave. Frustrating for him, but what a talent. And I remember being probably 11 or 12 years old and hearing the news that he was not very well. And I think I was 13 years old when he finally passed away. And such a sad, sad day for all involved with Arsenal. It really was all involved with football. It really was a shocker, and one that I don't think anybody will forget. Certainly at the Emirates and days at Highbury, fans will always be singing his name, and rightly so. He was an absolute hero, an Arsenal legend, and I must sit there and say this: that everybody I speak to loves Rocky. That's all I can say. Deserves to be in here. All time English Arsenal 11. Rocky walks straight in. That leaves me to pick three centre forwards. Now, I understand Jack Wilshere's been left out and some might be shouting out names at me. I understand. It's difficult. I can only pick 11. But I had to put these three in. I don't feel like I could leave them out. So the first one I've gone with is the reason that we won the Cup Winners' Cup. The goal against Parma for me will always be remembered as one of many that he scored, but of course Anfield 89 will be remembered. Alan Smith was superb for Arsenal. And if it wasn't for him breaking his leg, I think he would have gone on a bit longer to be an Arsenal legend. I was a massive fan of him. Thought he was a very underrated player as well, and he was one that I did look at for underrated 11. But I must admit, he was such a good player. He could score all types of goals, absolutely all types of goals. And I remember him and Lineker at Leicester were doing that. When it comes to Arsenal, everybody was excited to see what he could do. And I feel personally like he didn't let us down. There was a lot of goals that were very important that I've mentioned in terms of Palmer and obviously Liverpool at Anfield 89. But when I look at what he's done, oh, what a player. What a talent, and deserves to be in this team. And, he's gone on to have a very good career in outside of football as well. Well, within football, but playing football within the media and being a pundit. And he's been a very good one. And he's one that's very relied upon and called upon still on Sky Sports News after all these years. A humble guy, a really nice guy. Whenever people have met him, they've told me he's been an absolute gent and really has time for Arsenal fans and wants to listen to them and talk football with them. And that's what I love about these ex-pros, is that they're willing to talk to the fans and engage with them and realise that actually I can learn a lot from what people are saying and people's opinions, and never stop learning in football. So for me, an absolute gent, and deserves to be here for sure. The next two that I've gone with were actually a partnership for me. I absolutely love everything about these two human beings. One of them, of course, is my favourite ever player, Righty. What a hero. One absolute hero. My idol, my hero growing up, football was the reason that I loved the sport. Ian Wright was the reason that I loved football. Ian Wright was the reason I supported Arsenal. Ian Wright shares the same birthday as me. Ian Wright is my guy. I absolutely love it, and I'd love to meet him one day. But I have to look at an English Arsenal 11. You got to put him in. And he's in my all-time Arsenal 11. I can't leave him out of this one. The guy is an absolute genius. One of the best finishers around. One of the best characters around. His goal celebrations are superb. His antics in the dressing room. You always hear stories. Everybody loves him. On BBC and ITV and BT Sport and everywhere that he's been, everybody loves him as a pundit as well. And he's gone on to have a superb career outside of playing football, as a TV presenter, within the media, as a pundit. He's one that people look at and laugh because he's just such a great, great warmth and character. And I absolutely love everything about Ian Wright. I can't speak highly enough of him. So he walks into this. Alongside him, he's good friend of the show, good friend of mine, an Arsenal legend, Super Kevin Campbell. Very underrated. And it was actually a partnership that I would have loved to have seen happen for longer. But a certain Dennis Bergkamp stopped that from happening. And some Arsenal fans will say they're all right with that. But that take nothing away from what Kevin Campbell brought to football. Unbelievable talent, great, great forward, unbelievable link-up play, strength, power, able to link up the ball, able to flick it on. But he knew where the goal was. He scored some unbelievable goals for Arsenal, some great goals for Everton. Obviously went to have careers at Forest and Leicester and Leyton Orient and Cardiff. Wow. I mean, he is a football man. And when you speak to him and you get to know him, and some of you will know him from streams, some of you will know him from this channel, some of you will know him from this channel that we do with Lee Judges on Lee Judges TV, and of course the Highbury Squad. just one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I mean, let's forget football. One of the nicest guys I've ever met. Not one of the nicest guys I've met in football. One of the nicest guys I've ever met. Always has time for me. Whenever I'm in and around Manchester, he calls me and I can call him and go and meet him. Whenever he's in London, he calls me and comes down and meets me in the Tolly or for the Arsenal game or outside of it. He is a gentleman. And I think sometimes I forget how good he was because I forget that he was even a footballer because he talks to me like a friend now. And that's the biggest compliment I can pay him, really, as a person, because what a talent. What an unbelievable talent. I've got to bring up this picture because I absolutely love it of the pair of them. And I would have loved to have seen this partnership for a bit longer. I think they were a formidable partnership. I think there's the old little and large in it. Kev is an absolute man, mountain of a guy, and had the strength and power. Right, he had the finishing, and trust me, Kev could know where the goal was as well. The pair of them would have been unbelievable for Arsenal, in my opinion, for the next 5, 10 years. It would have been fantastic. When that photo was taken, must have been about 90, 92, 93, roughly around that season, maybe 94. Both of them could have gone and had a career for another 5 years together at least. Kev went on to have another career that led him up to about 2007 in the end, I believe. So for me, one of the reasons why I respect him is not just what he did in an Arsenal shirt, but he's absolutely loved and mobbed by Everton fans. And of course, people don't realise that he was the captain for West Brom in the Great Escape year in 2005 under Brian Robson. So he has been there and done it. He's won stuff. He's seen trophies. He's been parts of teams that had unbelievable moments in football. And the pair of them were a formidable partnership. And I do believe the pair of them could have gone on to be something great. But it wasn't to be. Ian Wright, I'll always love him. Kevin Campbell, do you know what? Sometimes you meet your heroes and they don't let you down. And he's like that. For me, unbelievable to chat to about football. The stories he tells, the stuff that he shares, and just genuinely easy to talk to. So for me, he'll always go down in my good books for that. Listen, that's my 1 to 11 of all time English players that played for Arsenal. I'm going to read it out to you. I've gone with David Seaman in goal. At right back is Lee Dixon. At left back is Ashley Cole. My two centre halves are Tony Adams and Sol Campbell. I've gone with a midfield three of Ray Parlour, Merce, and Rocky. And then up top, Alan Smith and Kevin Campbell playing off of the legend that is Ian Wright. I think that team would absolutely batter teams. You've got everything in there. You've got pace, you've got power, you've got technique, you've got leadership qualities, you've got monsters at the back, you've got a communicator as a goalkeeper, you've got midfield three that can do everything on the ball, you've got a trio at top that knows where the goal is, that can score all types of goals as well, from outside the box with their right foot, with their left foot, with their head. They can both hold up play, they can flick it onto righty. Wow, that would be exciting for me. What a team. What a team. I do feel personally, though, that there's some that I may have missed out. And that's why I want to let you guys have your say in the comments section. Tell me who you think deserves to be in there. Have I missed out an absolute wild one? Have I selected a wild one? Tell me, where can I improve this side? What is it about it you like? What is it about it you dislike? This is going to be the last of these that I do for this section. This series, I will be doing another series on Arsenal 11s of all time Arsenal series that I want to talk about with you Gooners. And if you're not an Arsenal fan, always welcome to this channel. You know it's not an Arsenal channel. You know that I only do Arsenal content when it's my club. I also let other people have their say as well. So please come over, join the community, like this video if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel, please. It means the absolute world to me. I'm on 6.5K. I need to get to 7. Come on, people, help me out. I need to get to 7K for Christmas if I can. If not, New Year would be even just as good. Hit the notification bell so you know when I'm on. And then please do follow me on socials at DanArsenal87. All those things are absolutely free, people. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to bow out by saying up the Arsenal. Hope for club football coming back very, very soon. And we'll see you next time. Take it easy, people.